Hey everyone, welcome to the That's Allowed podcast. This is your hostess, Dr. Audrienne McKeon, and today we're here with Aimee Cerka. Please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a wife. I'm mom of 3. We homeschool, but I'm a money confidence coach. So I teach people to master their money while juggling everything at home.
Fantastic. So I'll dive into the first question. What is the story the world isn't getting?
Oh, of course, it's going to be about money, but the fact that it's like a 2-part thing here. Debt payoff is not the thing that we should be focusing on. And so many of us truly haven't achieved financial security. Really hoped that a lot more people would see that in 2020. But I think, thankfully for us, our wake-up call was beforehand, but truly realizing like what it takes to actually take care of your family and get to that place where you can feel good about it, and how many ways we're harming ourselves by not taking care of our finances, because subconsciously, like it's a stress, it's a concern, and it shows up in health and relationships in so many different ways. So it's create that financial security and stop worrying about paying off debt all the time.
Yeah, so you said you had a wake-up call. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so ours was kind of 2-part. So in 2016, after several years, had a background in insurance, was really how I got my start in personal finance. But I had started my own business. We were 3 months pregnant. My husband and I were newlyweds. We had made the decision that I was going to leave my job. Things were doing okay. I really wasn't making a profit with my side business. It was more like for fun. We were really living off of his income. So Friday, my last day. The following Monday, the guy that we were working with, my husband was self-employed. He's a truck driver. The guy that we were contracted with, basically got mad for something that like my husband couldn't really even control, and decided like, you know what, like that's it, we're terminating the contract. Didn't matter that it was against the legal terms of the contract. You kind of had to have assets to be able to get what we were owed for his breach of contract. So we went from doing okay to zero income in a span of a couple of days, at 3 months pregnant. It was a very stressful week, as you probably can imagine. Hustled quite a bit there, and made it work. Within the end of the week or so, we had taken a 50% income cut, but like we were making some income again. When my son was born 6 months later, everything went great in the pregnancy, no complications at all. But a couple hours after he was born, the pediatrician came in to do their check on him. So I turned to face one way to eat because, they had taken the baby. So I was going to eat some food now. But he turned purple on the table when they had him. So they took him back to the NICU there at the hospital, and we're doing all of their tests on them. And I remember the moment that I heard that he was going to be transferred to a local children's hospital, and it had been shift change. And the new nurse was taking me over to the recovery room because they had been backed up. So I was still stuck like in the labor and delivery for a little bit. So she was pushing me over, and her question was, when are they transferring your baby to Cook Children's, which is our local children's hospital? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, they're not moving him. Like, he's fine. There's more backstory there with my first, like with medical issues, but I just remember that feeling of like my heart sinking, like, no. So he had what was called esophageal atresia with the TEF fistula. So, you might know what that is. For those of us who weren't medical doctors, okay. The esophagus was not connected to his stomach. Oof. So he had his first surgery at less than 48 hours old and was in the NICU of a total of 7.5 weeks. And during that time, we had done enough work on our finances that like I was able to be there every single day. I left to take care of myself and to go spend time with my oldest, but I was there day in and day out. I was there for everything. And that was like that whole build your well before you're thirsty. Like we were living that. And even though we were nowhere near where we wanted to be, we had done enough so that when it mattered, like we had gotten there. And that was really the wake up call for us. And that was when I got very passionate, or I should say more passionate, because we had been working on our finances, but on like, okay, this is what you need to know, because we all have stuff come up in life, and it's just about being prepared to be able to be with who you want to be in that moment, instead of having to make those tough decisions of like, do I do this so I can put food on the table, or can I spend time with my loved ones like I would want to?
So 2020 was a big wake up call for a lot of people.
Yeah.
How did you see that play out in your business?
It was really interesting, because most people automatically expect that like we had more clients than we could handle. And there was definitely an increase. And I saw a lot of people that we had a lot of conversations, but people believing that things can work for them and like they can actually make this happen, that it's not just like this far off fantasy to create what we're talking about. That was where we saw the disconnect. And I think it was the lack of hope. And you have to believe like, this is what I want enough and I can actually make it happen. So that was probably I don't know, it was a very disappointing thing. It hurt to see so many people not find that hope, that like, okay, we can make this actually happen now. We can fix this.
So seeing people kind of in despair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So what would you say is, how did that story, how did that experience change you?
It changes your priorities. It changes what you're working on. We had great insurance then. We had another medical crisis a couple years later where we didn't. Ended up with over six figures in medical debt. Husband was in ICU for over 2 weeks, hospitalized a total of 3 weeks. So, like that portion there, both of those times, it's really, you stop and look at what's important and you're able to prioritize. And I have always been like that, like, let's make a plan and let's take action. And that's kind of what you had to do, is we had to focus on what's important and then we'll figure the rest of it out.
Yeah. So when you think about, all those people who are kind of in despair in 2020, what would you like to say to those people?
It's not too late.
Hmm.
Like we can still change, we can still turn things around. I mean, you'll be so surprised how fast things can go. I think that old saying of like, we underestimate what we can accomplish in that short time, and we overestimate what we can accomplish in the short time and underestimate what we can accomplish in the long run, is totally true. Because honestly, we had the best year we had ever had in 2020, and that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't gone through all of those things. Now we had multiple stuff come up, so it can happen faster for you. It was kind of like getting like punching bag. I felt like we kept getting knocked down every so frequently, but I know that it made such a big difference, because like that feeling of needing that support, like we were on food stamps, we had the WIC card, we had it's called SSI. It's a form of social security disability for my son that we were all eligible for. And like to be able to make those progress, like it seems so hard in the moment. And that's why that support system is so important. Like finding people who are wanting to help you, but just don't give up.
Yeah, it sounds like you created some real resilience there
Yes,
that
definitely.
definitely helped you in 2020 when other people who hadn't built up that resilience were really struggling.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, uh, I guess my next question is you said something about not focusing so much on paying off debt.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I know a lot of people, certainly a lot of people who are probably listening right now, and a lot of people in my life, that really does feel like the most urgent things. Like I've got to pay down this debt. There's all this, interest accruing around it. It's so, so important. So why is that not the most important thing?
Definitely. It's probably one of my favorite things to talk about too, because it is so different. But The reason why we don't focus on paying off debt, a lot of it has to do with our mindset and the way that we approach things. Even when you say the word debt, like you can kind of feel it's like a negative connotation to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's statistically shown the people who are successful with paying off their debt, 75% of them are back into debt within 5 years. And the reason is because if we focus on like, I'm going to get out of debt, I'm going to get out of debt, I'm going to get out of debt, then you achieve it, your subconscious mind is still like, I'm going to get out of debt. Wait, there's no debt. So let me go get into debt so that I can get out of debt again. It's crazy, but that is one of the major reasons. But the simple switch is we focus on our net worth instead, because your net worth is your true financial picture. So when we're working on our finances, we should be saving, we should be investing, and we should be paying off debt. If we look at our net worth instead, we're going to see all of that progress there combined, because as we pay off our debt, our net worth is going to go up. And it's that positive aspect that we're able to focus on long term. So even when you are successful in paying off that debt, because yes, consumer debt isn't great. We shouldn't, there's reasons to have debt, but most of us have more than we should. I mean, myself included. It's a process like that we have to get out of it. We made these mistakes like over time. It's not going to be an overnight fix. So when we focus on our net worth, that's going to grow consistently when we make those steps. And if you're putting aside money, creating that financial security, if you're ready to invest, you're going to see the growth in your investments, and it's all reflected in your net worth. And the number grows that much more when you of course, you're focusing on the debt payoff as well, but looking at that overall net worth number and focus on growing that instead.
Yeah, I always say that you can't focus on a negative, right? It's actually kind of impossible to do. I always explain it like this, that if when you set an intention, it's like drawing a shape that you're then going to color in, right? But you can't set a negative intention because it's the same shape. So if you say, I want to quit this job that I hate, all that you've drawn is this job that you hate, right? If you say, I want to get out of debt, you've just drawn debt. And so whenever you try to, create an intention, you have to create a positive container. You have to create something that you're going towards, not away from. We see this all the time in politics, that people are fighting so hard against the thing that they don't want that they empower it. They make it even more powerful. They give it all this energy and it becomes kind of unstoppable. And we do this exact same thing in our lives, where we pour all this energy into trying to stop something from happening, but what you resist persists. So I think you're absolutely right. It's not just about finances. This is about recognizing that you need to create what you want, not stop, not focusing so much on getting out of the thing you don't want anymore.
Love the way that you explain that. Definitely.
Yeah. So when did this kind of realization come to you?
The whole debt payoff versus net worth, that was probably only 2 years ago. I think it was after my husband's hospitalization, because I was sitting there looking at all of these medical bills. He had just started a new job. So we were in that waiting phase of the insurance hadn't kicked in. I had to call 911. So he was transferred to the local county hospital, which I theoretically should have worked, but we lived in a different county than he worked in. So yeah, there was no assistance there. And I remember like just sitting there looking at all of this, and I was like, just felt crushed. Like we had done all of this work, and now like, what the heck am I gonna do now? Like we're getting like kicked all the way back to starting all the way over again. And I think it was a coach of mine was like, well, why don't you like approach it like this? And then it was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Like I don't even know that I had calculated my net worth like up until that point, but it was like, okay, well, like let me look at this. Like what does this actually look like? And then started diving into like the research behind it, because I had never been like that whole live on beans and rice, cut every penny possible to pay off debt, but it was something that we were focusing on. But it was in that light bulb moment when we felt like we had hit rock bottom again, that it was like, this might actually work. And then started doing the research behind all of the evidence that points to it works better.
Yeah. One of the things I see just over and over again with my coaching clients, not just, again, just in the area of finance, but kind of all up, is that people put all their eggs in one basket. They think, oh, okay, I've got this one thing going on, and so everything's going to be fine. Well, that's one, failure point. And if something happens to that, then it's like your whole world can come crashing down really quickly. And so I'm always really encouraging people to diversify and to start giving their gifts in a lot of different areas so that they're not completely dependent on one thing. The other thing I see so much is that people tie time to money and they think, oh, I have to give my time to get money. And time is a much more valuable resource than money. It is entirely unrenewable. When your time is gone, you don't get it back. If you lose a lot of money, you can get that money back. But if you lose a bunch of time, it is gone forever. And so I really try to encourage people to look at more passive income strategies and trying to figure out ways to uh, decouple their money from their time. How do you help people with that?
Definitely. So I teach three aspects when it comes to your finances. So we have the defense, which is taking care of the money you already have. It's where a lot of people think of like the saving money strategies are there. And then we have the offense, which is increasing your income. So we talk about that I think everybody, especially in the US, for tax benefits alone, should have a home based business. We talk about investing. When we structure your budget, we set you up that you start what we call our financial freedom fund. And that is specifically for passive income streams. And if it scares the crap out of you, like to think about doing that, like at least put money in there so you're ready as we like push you along once you're there. But having those, it, there needs to be we can't just be counting on one thing. And I think that was a wake up call for a lot of people in 2020 as well, because they're like, I had this really secure job. Like, I'm fine, no big deal. Well, guess what? It's not as secure as what you thought. And some of the
Yeah.
people that you had looked at crazily before maybe weren't so crazy, the preppers type thing. But creating that, at least having some savings or something set aside, but that's not even enough anymore, especially with inflation when you're losing money. If you're just like, let me just store a bunch of money in a savings account, it doesn't work like that anymore. So we definitely need to have multiple income streams on some level. And of course, it's going to vary for everybody, but there's something that you can find with your unique talents to create that and set that up. Maybe it's something that is a little more of an active income stream on a smaller level that you could scale if you wanted. But I think passive income streams are definitely the way to go because like I said, I want you to live a life you love while becoming financially savvy. So we can't get that time back. It's not about like shoving your kids in the closet and let me go make a bunch of money and then, oh, okay, they're grown up. Like you can't get that time back. So we need to do this simultaneously.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know for a lot of people that feels really impossible. It's like, I'm having a hard enough time just, working this one job. Like, how can I do multiple things? And I think part of it is just getting out of that mindset of a job and thinking about different gigs, different, the gig economy is the
Yeah,
new thing. And the shared assets and just getting into a different mindset around making money because the way things worked back, at the beginning of the first industrial revolution, like we're still doing things the same way. And yet things have changed so much since then.
definitely. They're still telling you to go to school, get a good job or get a good education and then get a good paying job. Like that worked then. That doesn't work now.
Right. And
So
of course,
yes.
education's wonderful. Of
Yes.
course, you should get a good education for the sake of getting a good education. And, keep learning throughout your life. But do not expect that there's this neat little equation of you put your time into your education and then you put your time into your work and then you get money. It doesn't work like that anymore, if it
Definitely.
ever really did.
still up for debate, but
Yeah. I mean, I really believe that we're here to give our unique gifts, and we all have lots of different gifts. There's no person out there that's like, I just have this one thing and it's the only thing I can do. And so if I get paid for it, good. And if I don't, I die. It doesn't work like that. We all have different skill sets that we can leverage and different gifts that we can give to create value and solve problems for people. You know, everybody's got to stop chasing the money and start just, solving people's problems for them.
yep, showing up in your area of expertise. And I think there's a lot of confidence there that we have to work on. And that's almost the first step, like just kind of like push yourself out there. I think that's why having a coach is a great idea, because it's somebody's can like nudge you along, like, okay, this is the step you need to take next, because so many of us discount. I mean, how many times we've been played a compliment and they were like, oh yeah, but this, like, it was totally wrong. And we just discount our value so much. And if we can just step into that, I think it helps make that transition so much easier too.
Girl, you're speaking my language. I mean, it's so funny how we undervalue our most valuable gifts because to us, we take them for granted. It's so easy for us to do these things that we think, oh, that can't possibly be valuable. I have to work hard for something to be valuable, right? It's so
Definitely.
backwards. It's so backwards. Yeah. So I completely agree. I think confidence is so key. What are some other just key mindset elements? Like, do you help people with limiting beliefs and things like that?
Yeah, I think I stopped there. So the third aspect that we talk about is the battlefield. And
Uh,
that's the money mindset. We've got economics in there, the stuff that we didn't pay attention to in school. Like the rules of the game. And that's the most important part, because it doesn't matter. Like, you can do all the work that you need to, but if you're self-sabotaging yourself, because we all have money mindset blocks, it's just
mhm.
about uncovering them. And when they come up, you get to a place where you can just acknowledge it and then move on instead of letting it hinder you. There's so many out there. I mean, like not feeling worthy, stuff that our parents said growing up, like money doesn't grow on trees. We're not air conditioning the neighborhood, shut the door, like silly stuff like that. Even just saying like it's not in the budget or we can't afford it, it's limiting. Again, it goes back to that negative connotation instead of saying what really is the truth, because we can find money for the things that we want to, that it's just not a priority right now. Like, we're working towards this at the moment. Maybe it's saving for a vacation or a new house or something. We're we're looking at it wrong. And for most people, there's three main things that we see that it roots back to. One could be a financial crisis. That was one of my major ones. There can be, if everything was great growing up and you didn't have like those struggles and you had everything you wanted, you can still create like that negative association with the money. And like, okay, I can't spend money on myself, even like with the value of things, because it costs more now. So I was working with somebody and she grew up in Asia, and she was like, I don't know why, like I can't spend money on myself. I had like a really great childhood. I'm sure like I'm the exception that like I don't have like these money mindset blocks, but she grew up in Asia and everything costs less. So she struggled with the value now, or the cost now of the stuff that she wanted to do. So she kept putting it off because like, oh, I can't spend that much on it. And it goes back to feeling good enough and confident enough and worthy enough to be able to have this. And like it was a simple switch to work through that. Like, okay, this is really, you are valuable enough. Just because the cost is more now, we just had to acknowledge that. And when she was able to stop and acknowledge that, like then we were able to let it go. So the financial crisis, not wanting to go back to that spot that we were in before. Also seeing your parents maybe fight over money or have a bunch of money and lose it all. We create that, I don't want that. So then we self-sabotage our finances again. So we all have these things that hold us back, and it's uncovering those stories and that how we are feeling our relationship with money, and really just understanding it, because a lot of that stuff's never going to go away. We programmed this when we were little kids, but if we can look at it and acknowledge it and keep going on with our lives, then we're in a great spot.
Can I share a personal anecdote about this?
Yes.
So this actually happened fairly recently. There was this day where, you know, I mean, I, like everybody else, I struggle with these same issues of valuing myself, valuing my worth, valuing my time, you know, and not wanting to invest, you know, in myself, because feeling like, oh, I can't, you know, that's frivolous or whatever it is. So one day, and it was, you know, I don't know, a couple of months ago, this both happened on the same day. I got a message from somebody that I had done some voiceover work for years ago on a video game. And they said they were revising the game and they wanted me to do, you know, to do the character again. And I was like, "Oh, great. You know, that sounds really fun." And so they asked me, "So how much, you know, would this cost?" And I got really nervous because I was like, "Well, it's been a while since I worked with them, and of course my rates have increased quite a bit since then." So I was really nervous that they were going to like say no, but, you know, I put down the price and kind of went, and they wrote back and they said, great, we'll double it.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I just went, okay, great. And later that same day, this woman that, you know, had approached me about coaching, I had sent her information on like my lowest level package. Like, okay, well, you know, you probably want to start here. And she was like, oh no, I went to your website and I want the highest package. And it was so funny because it was like, here, twice in one day, I had lowballed myself. I had lowballed myself. And these wonderful humans were like, no, sweetie, you're worth more than that. And it took them saying to me, like, hey, hello, we value what you do, for me to go, oh my gosh, I need to stop doing that. I need to stop undervaluing myself and underselling myself. And that doesn't mean I have to be an aggressive, you know, salesman and like, you know, upsell everybody to the highest package. But at the same time, like tell them about it, you
Yeah,
know, give them the option. So yeah, that was a big wake up call for me. And I think a lot of people go through that same, you know, mind shift at some point where they're like, whoa, wait a second. People will pay what they perceive is the value of something.
definitely. I think
Yeah.
we've all had that moment where we're scrolling on Facebook and we read that post and somebody's asking for help and they're like, that's like really easy. Like, I didn't know that like that's valuable for people and having that like epiphany moment, like, okay, wait, like that's actually important. Like, I didn't even know that was a skill and hitting like that level. And now that you share that story, I'm thinking about it. I think I did the exact same thing last week again, that I just offered the lower package. Like, I didn't even talk about the higher one.
Right. And it's like, you know, if you start with the higher package and then someone says, "Oh, I don't know, you know, if that's within my price range," like, "Oh, okay, well, I do have a lower package
Yeah.
too." But if you start with the lowest package, like that's what is in people's minds, you know? And lucky me that she had already looked at my website and was like, "No, no, no, what about that other package? That's the one I wanted."
That's too
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. So I think it's about time to shift into this little exercise that I really like
Okay.
to do. But before that, I just want to ask, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for people listening today? What do you think is the core message of what you want them to walk away with?
I think I'm going to go back to, it's not too late
Mhm.
and you're valuable, you're important, you're worth spending money on. There's a whole category that I make you have in your budget, your money management system. It's specifically designed to spend money on you, but you're important and it's not too late to start.
And you're worth spending time on too. Your time
Yes.
is valuable. Stop selling it off so cheap, you know? Really, really understand that you own your time fully. And it is the one important resource that nobody can take from you without your permission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to have you close your eyes,
Okay.
take a nice deep breath. And this time, as you breathe in, I want you to see colored light come into your body. And what color was that light?
It was red.
Okay, one more time. Let's take in some nice colored light. What color was it this time?
Orange.
Okay. I wonder if we keep going that we'll go through the whole rainbow.
Whole range,
It's actually one of my
maybe.
favorite exercises to do kind of all the chakras. I do, red, orange, yellow, blue, all the way up until it comes out my head in this nice little magenta rainbow. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to have you just take one more deep breath. Beautiful. And now I'm going to wave this magic wand. And now that I've waved it, everything that you deeply desire has come to pass. It is real. It is here. It is now. I want you to, without opening your eyes, because I want you to visualize this in your mind, look around this ideal world and tell me what you see.
I see our ranch. I'm sitting inside the wood paneled office currently that's got floor to ceiling bookshelves in it with the big windows looking out. I can see the kids playing on the playground with the horses.
Mm,
My family assistant, also known as a stunt double, is starting dinner for me. And my husband will be home shortly from work.
So I want you to take a deep breath in and smell that smell of the food cooking. What do you smell?
Chicken parmesan
Mm,
and a salad.
yeah. So you are being nourished, you're being taken care of. There is abundance all around you. I want you to just breathe that in for a second and feel that. Beautiful. And now I want you to see you have a client that you've been working with here. And I want you to see on their face, they just really got it. That there's that light bulb moment where they're like, oh, I'm valuable. And they look at you and they just say, thank you. Thank you so much. And I want you to feel that for a moment. What does that feel like?
Gratifying
Mhm.
and feel fulfilled.
Beautiful. Now, I want you to go somewhere that's kind of your special happy place. Where do you go?
I ride on horseback
Mm,
to a little meadow on the property.
beautiful. So I want you to see yourself there. You can kind of see the world going by as you're riding on the back of this horse. You can kind of smell that horsey smell as you're riding, and you can feel that wind on your face. You can hear the hoofs beating. And then you come to this meadow, and there is something just unexpectedly wonderful going on here. What is it?
It's a field of bluebonnets, and there's a family of deer there.
Mm. And they don't startle when you
Yeah,
come. They see you and they just look up and they kind of go back to what they were doing.
yeah.
And I want you to just enjoy that moment of being in complete harmony with nature. That you are not alien to this space. You belong here as much as they belong here. You are a part of this. And that fills you with this just immense feeling of peace and joy. And I want you to take that feeling and bring it back to the house with you. And when you get there, your husband is there and he has some great news. What is it?
They're expanding the division that he's running, and he's going to be able to have more flexibility in his schedule so we can travel more.
Gorgeous. And where's the first place that you're going to travel?
The Caribbean.
Now, bam, you're in the Caribbean. I want you to see that, feel that. What does it feel like?
Um, it's warm from the sun on my skin
Mhm.
and peaceful from the water.
You can hear the waves lapping, feel your toes in the sand. What does it smell like?
The salty ocean air and a little bit of peanut butter because the kids are always hungry on the beach.
So you can hear them laughing. They're just having the time of their life.
Yes.
Maybe you can hear some music in the background, like a steel drum.
Yeah.
There you go. And again, one more just unexpectedly lovely thing happens. What is it?
Um, a private dinner, just me and my husband on the beach that evening.
Mm. So I want you to see that. See the table, how it's set up. You've got a glass in your hand. What's in the glass?
Margarita.
A margarita. And so you toast with your husband. You have this moment where it's just the two of you, and you can really look him in the eye and just appreciate, fully appreciate everything that he is to you, the support that you get, the partnership, the love. And just feel that. All right, beautiful. Open your eyes. So that's my little gift to you. I always like to encourage people to make a little slideshow out of some of the images that you got from that. If you want to put some music behind it, music always is like a big trigger for me to put me into my kind of core desired feelings. And I watch my little slideshow and listen to my little song every morning just to put me right into that mindset of abundance and creating exactly what I want to feel.
Absolutely. I love it. I've got pictures over there, but I like the slideshow idea.
Yeah, I think for me, it really helps to kind of, like I said, pair it with some music. I have a little sort of physical routine I go through too, just to kind of wake my body up and tie the whole thing together because it all works together, right? We're all
Yes, it
holistic.
does.
Everything fits together. All right, beautiful. So, where can the people at home find you, my dear?
Instagram's my favorite place to hang out. I'm at Aimee Cerka, so pretty simple there.
Awesome. And of course, I'll have that in the show notes. Anything else you want to say before we leave off today?
Um, I think that's really it. I mean, we can connect on my website as
Mhm.
well. I do have a free gift that I can offer that works. Okay. So we have the money mindset mastery checklist. So it's tends to help you create an unshakable money mindset, like we talked about. That's so important. That's really simply at amycerka.com/mindset. It is a new offer that I put together, so I'm really excited about it. There was lots of love and work with clients to kind of solidify to make sure that it works just like how it's supposed to, and that it can make a change for you quickly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it. Thank you.